Stop scrolling for a second. What if I told you that just 5 minutes every morning could make you speak English fluently faster than you ever imagined? Imagine waking up, following a simple routine, and suddenly words, sentences, and ideas start flowing effortlessly in English, without hesitation, without translating, without stress. Today, I'm going to share 7 powerful lessons that thousands of learners use to transform their English. These aren't boring grammar rules or memorization tricks. They're real strategies that train your brain, your mouth, and your confidence to speak like a native. If you want to stop struggling and finally start speaking English naturally, keep watching, because what I'm about to show you will change the way you learn English forever. 1. Think in English. Let's start with the very first and arguably the most important lesson. Thinking in English. Now I want you to imagine something. Every time you see an object, hear a sound, or even feel a thought, your brain immediately translates it into your native language before you speak. That pause, even if it's just a split second, is what slows you down, makes you hesitant, and keeps you from speaking fluently. Here's the secret: stop translating. Instead, force your brain to think directly in English. Yes, at first it will feel strange, awkward, even uncomfortable. You might catch yourself thinking, wait, how do I say this in English? That's completely normal. The key is to train your mind to bypass translation entirely. Start small. When you wake up, look around your room and silently name the objects in English. The bed is big. The window is open. The sunlight is bright. Don't just stop at single words. Form short sentences. Describe what you see, what you feel, what you're about to do. Turn your surroundings into an English playground. Here's the magic. When you do this consistently, your brain starts to speak English automatically, without hesitation. You'll notice that phrases come naturally to your mouth, sentences flow effortlessly, and you'll begin to think, dream, and plan in English. This is the foundational skill every fluent speaker has mastered, and it's available to you right now if you commit to this simple, daily practice. Tone, daily 5-minute speaking practice. Now that you've started thinking in English, the next step is speaking out loud every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And don't underestimate this tiny window of time. 5 minutes may seem small, but if you do it consistently, it becomes a powerful habit that transforms your fluency. Here's the problem most learners face. They spend hours studying English silently, reading books, memorizing words, but when it comes to speaking, their brain freezes. Why? Because speaking is an active skill, and it requires your mouth, tongue, and brain to work together in real time. Listening and thinking alone won't build that coordination. You need to speak out loud every day. Start simple. Describe your day. Talk about your plans. Read a paragraph from a book and repeat it. Pretend you're explaining something to a friend. Don't worry about making mistakes. Mistakes are proof that your brain is learning. The key is consistency and courage. Here's what happens if you stick with it. The first week, you'll feel awkward. Your sentences might stumble. By the second week, your brain starts connecting words faster. By the third week, you notice that you can form sentences almost automatically. That's the moment fluency begins to kick in. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about practice. 5 focused minutes every morning, and you are training yourself to speak English naturally, confidently, and effortlessly. That's the difference between someone who studies English for years without fluency and someone who actually speaks like a native in a matter of months. 3. Learn 5 new words daily. All right, lesson 3 is all about vocabulary, but not in the boring way you're used to. Most learners try to memorize hundreds of words at once, flipping through lists and then forgetting them a week later. That method doesn't work. What works is small, consistent growth, learning just 5 new words every single morning. Now, you might think, 5 words, that's too little. But here's the secret. It's not about the quantity. It's about how you use those words. Don't just memorize the meaning. Don't just repeat the word silently. Use it in a sentence immediately. Make it alive in your mind. For example, if your new word is amazing, don't just memorize it. Say, the sunrise this morning is amazing. Feel the word, speak it, live it. Here's why this works. Your brain remembers things through context and repetition. When you use the word in a sentence, you're creating a connection between the meaning, the pronunciation, and the situation. That connection is what makes the words stick in your mind for good. And if you do this daily, after just 1 month, you'll have 150 new words in your active vocabulary. After 3 months, 450 words. And that's not just memorized words. It's words you can actually use in conversations, thoughts, and writing. That's the kind of vocabulary that makes you sound natural, confident, and fluent. So your challenge for today, pick 5 words, use them in sentences, and say them out loud. Repeat this tomorrow and the day after, 5 words a day, and soon you'll be speaking English with a vocabulary that surprises even native speakers. 4. Listen and imitate. Now we're at lesson 4, and this one is a game changer. Listen and imitate. This is where most English learners make a huge mistake. They spend hours memorizing words, practicing grammar, or reading silently, but their speaking doesn't improve. Why? Because fluency isn't just about knowing words. It's about sound, rhythm, and timing. And the best way to acquire that is by listening to how native speakers actually speak and then imitating them perfectly. Here's the truth. Your brain learns language the same way a child learns to speak. Children don't study grammar rules or memorize dictionaries. They listen first, absorb, and copy. They repeat the sounds they hear until they sound natural. That's exactly what you need to do as an adult. Your accent, your tone, the way words flow, all of that comes from listening and imitation. But don't just passively listen. Most learners think, oh, I'll watch an English video, I'll listen to a podcast, that's enough. No, listening alone isn't enough. You need to actively repeat what you hear. Every single phrase, every single sentence, exactly as it is spoken. Pause the video or audio, repeat it out loud, imitate the rhythm, stress, and intonation, match the speaker's energy, speak like them, even if it feels silly at first. Here's a simple routine you can start today. Pick a short clip, maybe 30 seconds long. Play it, listen carefully, and then pause and repeat each line exactly. Don't change the words. Don't simplify. Say it exactly the way the speaker does. Focus on the melody of English, the ups and downs of the voice, the way words are linked together. This trains your brain to produce English naturally, not word by word, but as a flowing, living language. Why does this work so well? Because your brain is amazing at copying patterns. When you imitate native speakers consistently, your mouth and brain learn how English sounds, how it moves, and how it feels to speak it fluently. Your accent improves naturally. Your rhythm and intonation become smoother. Your brain starts to recognize patterns, and soon you'll notice something incredible. When you speak, it sounds natural, almost as if English is your own language. Now, here's a little secret most learners overlook. It's not about being perfect. When you imitate, mistakes are part of the process. Don't worry if you mispronounce a word. Don't worry if your rhythm isn't perfect at first. The goal is continuous repetition and improvement. Each time you imitate, your brain adjusts slightly, your tongue moves more easily, and your pronunciation gets closer to natural English. That's how fluency is built, not overnight, but step by step, phrase by phrase. Another tip: record yourself. Listen to how you sound and compare it to the native speaker. This feedback loop is incredibly powerful. You'll catch small differences that you didn't notice while speaking, and over time those differences shrink until your speech becomes smooth and confident. And here's the best part. This method works for everyone. Whether you're a beginner struggling with words or an advanced speaker trying to sound more natural, the key is consistency. Just 5 minutes a day, imitating, pausing, repeating. That's it. Day by day, week by week. Your brain rewires itself to speak like a native. So here's your action for today. Pick a short video, a YouTube clip, or even a dialogue from a movie. Listen carefully. Pause. Repeat. Imitate every word, every stress, every intonation. Do it again and again. Make your mouth, your brain, and your ears work together. This is how you train yourself to speak English naturally, fluently, and confidently. Remember, fluency is not about memorizing. It's about absorbing and copying patterns until they become automatic. The moment you commit to this simple, powerful method, you'll start noticing real changes in your speaking. Words flow faster, sentences feel easier, and confidence builds naturally. If you truly master this technique, listening and imitating daily, you'll reach a point where speaking English no longer feels like a struggle. It will feel effortless, almost second nature. And that, my friend, is what true fluency is all about. 5. Think in complete sentences. Now we come to lesson 5, and this is one of the most powerful secrets of fluent English speakers. Always think in complete sentences, not just single words. You might not realize it, but this is where most learners get stuck. You see, it's easy to know a bunch of words. You can memorize vocabulary lists and even understand grammar rules. But when it comes to speaking, if you're thinking in single words, coffee, hot, sunrise, your sentences will sound broken, unnatural, and slow. That little gap in your thinking is what kills fluency. Here's the truth. Fluency is not just about knowing words. It's about linking words together into full, meaningful sentences that flow naturally. That's what your brain does when you speak like a native speaker. Think of your sentences like a train. Every word is a car, and if one car is missing, the train doesn't move smoothly. It stalls. Thinking in single words is like building a train with missing cars. Thinking in full sentences is how your words start flowing naturally, like a train running on rails. So, how do you start thinking in complete sentences? It begins with awareness. Every time you catch yourself thinking in single words, pause and expand. Instead of thinking coffee hot, ask yourself, how can I turn this into a full sentence? You might say, the coffee is hot and I am going to drink it slowly. That small shift changes everything. Suddenly, your brain is training itself to think in English, not just translate from your native language. And don't stop at simple sentences. Push yourself to make your thoughts richer and more detailed. Instead of saying, "It's sunny," think, "It's sunny today and the light is streaming through my window, warming the room." Add adjectives, describe your actions, explain your feelings. By doing this, you're not just practicing English, you're training your brain to create English thoughts naturally. Here's a little challenge. For the next 5 minutes each morning, try narrating your actions in complete sentences. Brush your teeth? Don't just think brush teeth. Say to yourself, "I am brushing my teeth carefully to make them clean and shiny." Make your breakfast? Don't think eggs, toast. Say, "I am making eggs and toast for breakfast, and I will enjoy every bite while I read the news." Your brain begins to link vocabulary, grammar, and context all in one flow. Another tip: when forming complete sentences, focus on variety and creativity. Don't repeat the same structures every day. Play with different sentence patterns. Ask yourself questions in English. Say your thoughts as if you're explaining something to someone else. Even if no one is listening, this habit forces your brain to construct ideas in English, which is the core of true fluency. Why is this so effective? Because your mind is being trained to produce English actively, not passively. Thinking in words is passive. It's translating. Thinking in full sentences is active. It's creating. When you consistently think in complete sentences, speaking, writing, and even thinking in English becomes effortless. The sentences come naturally, your words flow faster, and hesitation disappears. Now imagine yourself after a few weeks of doing this every morning. Your brain starts forming sentences automatically. You walk into a conversation in English and you don't have to stop and translate. Your words flow. Your thoughts are coherent. Your speech sounds confident and fluent. That's the power of thinking in complete sentences. So here's your daily action plan. For 5 minutes each morning, narrate your surroundings, your actions, and your thoughts in full, complete sentences. Push yourself to describe, explain, and expand your ideas. Challenge yourself to make your sentences longer, richer, and more natural. And remember, perfection is not the goal. The goal is fluidity, confidence, and automatic thinking in English. Master this technique and you'll notice something amazing. Your English will stop sounding like separate words patched together. Your sentences will have rhythm, your ideas will flow, and your fluency will grow faster than ever. This one habit, thinking in complete sentences, is the bridge between knowing English and speaking English naturally. Commit to it. Practice it daily. And watch your English transform from hesitant, broken speech into smooth, confident, and powerful communication. This is the moment where learners become fluent speakers. And it all starts in your mind, one complete sentence at a time. 6. Use flashcards and apps. Now we're at lesson 6, and this one is deceptively simple, but if you do it right, it can supercharge your English learning like nothing else. I'm talking about using flashcards and language apps for daily practice. You might think, flashcards? That's basic. I've done that before. But here's the truth. Most learners use them wrong. They flip through cards once, memorize a word, and then forget it in a few days. That's not learning, that's illusion. True learning comes from smart, consistent, active recall. And that's exactly what apps and flashcards can do if you use them the right way. Let me explain why this works. Your brain learns through repetition and active engagement. Seeing a word once doesn't make it stick. Hearing it once doesn't make it yours. But when you test yourself, recall the meaning, Form sentences with the word and repeat it over multiple days. That's when your memory becomes permanent. This is called spaced repetition, and it's the fastest, most efficient way to grow your English vocabulary and skills. Here's how to start. Pick 5 to 10 words every morning, new words or words you've struggled with, and use a flashcard app like Anki, Quizlet, or even a physical set of cards. But don't just flip them passively. Look at the word, try to recall the meaning, say it out loud in a sentence, and then check yourself. If you got it right, it goes to a longer interval. If not, it comes up again sooner. That's the genius of the system. Your brain is being trained to remember actively, not passively. And it's not just words. You can use apps to practice phrases, sentences, idioms, even pronunciation. For example, record yourself reading a phrase from the app, then listen to a native version and repeat. Apps can also quiz you with multiple choice questions, fill in the blanks, and listening exercises. Each of these tiny interactions adds millimeters of progress, and if you do it consistently every morning, those millimeters turn into leaps in fluency over weeks and months. Here's something most learners overlook. Consistency is far more important than quantity. Spending 5 minutes every morning actively engaging with flashcards is better than spending 2 hours cramming randomly. Your brain thrives on small, repeated challenges, not marathon sessions that overwhelm it. Think of it like going to the gym. You don't lift heavy weights once and expect to get fit. You lift a little every day, consistently, and gradually your strength grows. The same applies to your English. Daily practice builds a strong, fluent brain. Another tip: use the words in real life immediately. Don't just memorize them and forget. Write a sentence, say it out loud, or try to use it in a conversation. For example, if your new word is astonishing, don't just repeat it silently. Say, "The magician's trick was astonishing. I couldn't believe my eyes." When you use the word actively, your brain forms a strong neural connection, and that word becomes part of your active vocabulary, not just something you recognize on a test. And here's the best part. Apps and flashcards are portable, efficient, and scalable. You can practice anywhere. On the bus, during breakfast, waiting in line, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and over time your vocabulary expands, your sentence formation improves, and your confidence skyrockets. Every day you're reinforcing patterns your brain needs to think, speak, and write in English naturally. But the true power comes from combining flashcards with the other lessons we've talked about. Think in sentences while recalling the word. Speak the sentence aloud. Imitate the natural rhythm of English when forming sentences with your new words. This multiplies the effect. You're not just memorizing, you're training your brain to function in English fluently, effortlessly, and confidently. So here's your daily challenge. Spend 5 minutes this morning with your flashcards or app. Learn 5 new words or phrases. Use each one in a sentence. Repeat it out loud. Commit to this for a week, then a month. You'll be amazed at how your vocabulary, confidence, and fluency grow without even noticing the time passing. Remember, learning English is not about speed. It's about smart, consistent effort. And if you use this lesson correctly, you're building the foundation for lifelong fluency. Words will start coming to mind naturally, sentences will flow, and your confidence to speak English will increase every single day. This is the power of flashcards and apps when done right. They're the bridge between knowing English and truly using English with ease. 7. Speak to yourself confidently. Here we are, at the final lesson, and this one might just be the most powerful habit for becoming truly fluent. Speak to yourself confidently in English. It sounds simple, almost too simple, right? But let me tell you why this practice is a total game changer. Most learners are afraid to speak English. They hesitate. They worry about mistakes. They wait for someone to correct them. And guess what? That fear kills fluency. Speaking confidently to yourself is the bridge over that fear. It's the safe space where you can practice without judgment, without pressure, and without shame. Here's the truth. Your brain learns by doing. It doesn't care if anyone else is listening. It only cares about what you practice. Every time you speak, even if it's just to yourself, your brain is rewiring itself to produce English naturally. You're training your mouth, your tongue, your ears, and your mind to work together as a single, fluent system. This is what separates learners who study for years but struggle to speak from learners who become confident, natural speakers in months. So how do you do it? Start small. Pick a moment every morning while brushing your teeth, making coffee, walking to work, and talk to yourself in English. Narrate what you're doing. I am brushing my teeth carefully. I am preparing my breakfast. I will drink my coffee and read a little before starting work. Don't just say words, say them with confidence. Speak clearly. Use full sentences. Treat yourself like a real conversation partner. Now, some of you might feel awkward at first. You might think, I look silly talking to myself. Good. That's exactly the point. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Every tiny moment of discomfort is your brain training to function in English. The more you push through it, the faster your fluency develops. After a few days, the awkwardness disappears. Your words start to flow naturally. Your confidence builds. You begin to speak English without even thinking about it. The next step is to make your self-talk more dynamic. Don't just describe actions. Talk about your thoughts, feelings, ideas, and plans. Ask yourself questions and answer them in English. For example, what will I do today? I will focus on practicing English for at least 30 minutes. What new word will I learn? I will learn astonishing and use it in a sentence. By turning your self-talk into a mini conversation, you're training your brain to think actively in English, not just translate from your native language. Another secret, the tone of confidence matters more than correctness at first. Even if you make mistakes, speak boldly, like you already know the language. Your brain responds to the confidence you project. If you act like a fluent speaker, your brain starts creating the pathways to match that behavior. Over time, correctness follows naturally. Fluency grows from belief and repetition, not from perfection. Here's a challenge for you. Set aside 5 focused minutes every morning for confident self-talk. Speak about your day, your goals, your thoughts, or even practice a dialogue you might have later. Make it energetic. Make it vivid. Imagine you're talking to a friend or giving a mini presentation. Push yourself to use the new words you've learned, full sentences you've practiced, and the intonation you've imitated. Every single word you speak to yourself builds muscle memory in your brain, just like lifting weights builds muscles in your body. And here's where it all comes together. This habit combines everything we've covered in the previous lessons. You're thinking in English, forming complete sentences, using new vocabulary, imitating natural rhythm, and actively producing language confidently. This is the moment your brain stops relying on translation, stops hesitating, and starts operating in English automatically and fluently. Imagine 1 month from now. You wake up, Spend 5 minutes speaking to yourself confidently in English and notice how effortless your thoughts flow. You speak clearly, naturally, and with a rhythm that sounds authentic. You no longer pause to search for words or structure sentences. You just speak. That is the power of self-talk done right. So here's your final action. Speak to yourself every day, boldly, fully, and confidently. Treat it like a habit as important as brushing your teeth or drinking your morning coffee. Make it part of your daily routine. Over time, you won't just learn English, you'll think, dream, and live in English naturally. This habit transforms hesitant learners into fluent, confident speakers. And it starts with your voice, your sentences, and your unwavering practice every single day. Remember, fluency is not magic. It's not about talent. It's about habit, repetition, and fearless practice. Speak to yourself confidently and watch as your English grows stronger, smoother, and more natural every single day. This is the final essential step in your journey to speaking English like a native, and now it's your turn to make it happen. Now it's your turn. You have the 7 powerful lessons. Think in English, speak daily, learn new words, imitate native speakers, form complete sentences, use flashcards, and speak confidently to yourself. The only thing left is action. Start today, just 5 minutes each morning, and you'll be amazed at how quickly your English improves. Remember, fluency doesn't come from talent. It comes from consistent, smart practice. If this video helped you, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another English tip that can transform your fluency. And don't forget, your voice, your sentences, your practice is what will take you from struggling to confident, natural English every single day. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll take your English even further.